In 2019, a Singaporean hedge fund manager did something unthinkable. He moved to Kuala Lumpur. Not for a job. Not for family. For survival. While the West promised progress, Malaysia was executing something far more dangerous. A silent revolution. No headlines. No fanfare. No permission. They leapfrogged 40 years of development in less than a decade. And the world's economists? They're still not talking about it. Most people won't see this coming. The great redistribution isn't a theory anymore. It's happening in real time. If you value the truth over comfortable lies, this community is where you belong. Hit subscribe. We're tracking what the system won't tell you. Because what Malaysia did, it's the blueprint dozens of countries are now copying. And it changes everything. For decades, the narrative was gospel. The West is where you build wealth. Democracy equals prosperity. First world infrastructure. First world opportunities. Millions believed it. Indian engineers. Nigerian doctors. Malaysian programmers. They drained their savings for visa applications. Studied for IELTS exams at 2 a.m. after work shifts. Left aging parents behind. All for the promise. The promise of escape. Meanwhile, Malaysia was labeled the middle-income trap poster child. Bloomberg, 2015, Malaysia stuck in development limbo. The Economist, 2017, why Malaysia can't compete with Singapore. The data seemed clear. Stagnant wages. Brain drain. Political uncertainty. From 2010 to 2018, over 300,000 skilled Malaysians left. But something happened after 2018. Something the migration consultants didn't see coming. They started coming back. And they weren't coming back alone. They were bringing friends, colleagues, entire teams. Something fundamental had shifted in the global economic order, and Malaysia was at the center of it. Let's talk about what actually happened. Housing Affordability Index 2024. Toronto's average home equals 13.5 times median income. London sits at 14.2 times median income. Sydney at 13.8 times median income. Kuala Lumpur? 4.1 times median income. A 3-bedroom condo in Mont Kiara. Swimming pool. 24-hour security. $280,000. In London? That gets you a 1-bedroom flat in Zone 4 with a 45-minute commute. No parking. No natural light. Shared walls so thin you can hear your neighbor's arguments. But housing is just the surface. Malaysia completed its MRT network in 2023. Fully automated. Cashless payment. Real-time tracking. Air-conditioned stations with Wi-Fi. New York's subway still runs on signaling tech from the 1930s. The London Underground has sections that haven't been upgraded since the 1960s. Meanwhile, you can travel from Kuala Lumpur to Putrajaya, the administrative capital, in 18 minutes. The same distance in London? 47 minutes on a good day. My Digital ID launched in 2022. One of your driver's license, medical records, tax filing, business registration, voting credentials, even your educational certificates. In the UK, you need 7 different government portals. In the United States, depending on your state, you might need 15. Malaysia did in 2 years what took Estonia 15 years to build, and they did it for a population 5 times larger. Average internet speed 2024. Malaysia delivers 115 megabits per second for $25 per month. The United States manages 95 megabits per second for $68 per month. The United Kingdom struggles with 72 megabits per second for $42 per month. They wired rural villages. Places where grandmothers sell nasi lemak. Places where water buffaloes still cross the main road. Now they take QR code payments. Now they have Lazada deliveries. Now they're on TikTok. The digital divide that cripples Western rural communities? Malaysia eliminated it. Not through subsidies. Not through tax breaks. Through actual infrastructure deployment. They ran fiber optic cables to 98% of populated areas. Compare that to the United States at 67%. Compare that to the United Kingdom at 71%. But the real story is in the migration data. 2023 net migration to Malaysia, 87,000 skilled professionals, 34,000 returning Malaysians, 12,000 digital nomads, up 340% from 2019. They're not coming for beaches. They're not coming for the food, though the food is exceptional. They're coming for purchasing power. They're coming because the fundamental equation of modern life, the balance between earnings and cost of living, has completely inverted. A software engineer in San Francisco. Salary, $140,000. Sounds impressive until you run the numbers. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment, $3,200 per month. Health insurance, $650 per month. Groceries, $800 per month if you're frugal. Student loans, $1,100 per month. Car payment because public transit is non-existent, $450 per month. Utilities, $200 per month. Internet, $80 per month. Phone, $100 per month. That's $6,580 per month in fixed costs. After taxes, that $140,000 becomes roughly $95,000 take-home, or $7,917 per month. Subtract fixed costs, you're left with $1,337 per month. That's your discretionary income. That's what you have for savings, entertainment, travel, emergencies, or building wealth. Now let's run the same exercise for that same engineer. Remote work. Lives in Kuala Lumpur. Salary, still $140,000 from a remote US company. Rent for a luxury 3-bedroom condo in Montclair, $1,200 per month. Private healthcare insurance that covers everything, $180 per month. Groceries from premium supermarkets, $400 per month. Student loans, same obligation, $1,100 per month. No car payment needed, but let's say you want one anyway, $350 per month for a decent vehicle. Utilities, $80 per month. Internet at 300 megabits per second, $35 per month. Phone, $25 per month. That's $3,370 per month in fixed costs. Malaysia doesn't tax foreign-sourced income for returning Malaysians under certain programs, and even for others, you're looking at a maximum effective tax rate of 15% on the first $100,000. Your take-home? Approximately $112,000 or $9,333 per month. Subtract fixed costs, you're left with $5,963 per month in discretionary income. That's not a marginal difference. That's a 346% increase in actual purchasing power. That's the difference between saving for a decade to afford a down payment and buying property outright in 3 years. That's the difference between retirement at 65 and retirement at 45. That's not arbitrage. That's systemic fracture. But let's go deeper into what this actually means on the ground. Malaysia's transformation wasn't accidental. It was methodical. In 2018, following a historic election that saw the first change of government since independence, a series of reforms were quietly implemented. The special economic zones were expanded. The digital economy blueprint was accelerated. Most critically, the Dorantau Initiative was launched, a program specifically designed to attract digital nomads and remote workers. The visa process was streamlined to 5 business days. The tax incentives were made crystal clear. No ambiguity. No hidden clauses. No bureaucratic nightmares. Meanwhile, regulatory barriers for starting businesses were demolished. In 2015, registering a business in Malaysia took an average of 18 days and required physical presence at multiple government offices. By 2023, the entire process was completed online in 24 hours. 24 hours. Compare that to the United Kingdom, where it takes an average of 13 days and requires navigating a labyrinth of regulations. Compare that to Canada, where provincial and federal requirements can stretch the process to 30 days or more. The healthcare system underwent a parallel transformation. Malaysia already had a robust private healthcare sector, consistently ranked in the top 5 globally for medical tourism. But between 2018 and 2024, the government did something unusual. Instead of nationalizing or over-regulating, they created a hybrid system. Public healthcare remained free or nearly free for citizens. Private healthcare was encouraged to compete, driving both quality up and prices down. The result? A medical system where you can get an MRI within 48 hours for $150, where specialist consultations cost $30, where a full health screening, the kind that costs $3,000 in the United States, runs you $280. And the quality? Many of the doctors trained in the UK, Australia, or the United States. Many of the hospitals are JCI accredited, the same accreditation used by American hospitals. The waiting time for a non-emergency surgery in a private Malaysian hospital averages 2 weeks. In Canada's public system, 27 weeks. In the UK's NHS, 26 weeks. That's not third world healthcare. That's first world outcomes at rational prices. Her name is Sarah Lim, 2019. Age 28. Chartered accountant. London. She was living the dream. PwC, Canary Wharf. £52,000 salary. She shared a 2-bedroom flat with 3 strangers in Stratford. Rent, £1,100 per month for one room barely large enough for a double bed and a desk. Council tax. Tube fare. Meal deals from Tesco because cooking for one in a shared kitchen wasn't worth the territorial disputes. After 2 years of the London grind, working 60-hour weeks during audit season, she'd saved £8,000. Then her mother got sick. Breast cancer. Stage 2. She flew home for what was supposed to be 2 weeks. The diagnosis came back on a Friday. By Monday, her mother was scheduled for surgery at Gleneagles Hospital, Kuala Lumpur. The treatment? $12,000 total. Full mastectomy. 6 cycles of chemotherapy. 3 weeks of radiation. Private room. Dedicated nursing care. Nutritionist consultations. Psychological counseling included. Of it, $12,000. In the UK, the NHS wait time for the same procedure? 26 weeks from diagnosis to surgery. 26 weeks of living with cancer growing in your body while you wait for the machinery of public healthcare to process your case. Sarah did the math sitting in that hospital room. She could work remotely. Her firm had reluctantly adopted hybrid policies during COVID. She requested a permanent remote arrangement. They agreed, expecting her to return to London eventually. She never did. She works remotely now for a Singaporean firm, actually. She switched jobs 6 months after returning, found a position that paid 15% more and was remote first by design, not by pandemic necessity. Same salary. Triple the quality of life. Her mother is in remission. Sarah bought her parents a house. A 3-bedroom terrace in Subang Jaya. RM $680,000. Roughly $145,000. Something that would have taken 15 years of saving in the UK. She did it in 18 months of aggressive saving in Malaysia. But Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the silent majority. The ones who stopped believing the lie. I spoke with 47 people like Sarah over the past 6 months. Engineers. Designers. Accountants. Consultants. Marketing professionals. The pattern is identical. They left Malaysia for the West between 2005 and 2018. They returned between 2020 and 2024. And none of them are going back. One told me, "I thought I was building a future in Melbourne. Turns out I was just surviving expensively." Another said, "London taught me what I didn't want. Kuala Lumpur showed me what was possible." The infrastructure comparison gets even more striking when you examine daily life. Public transportation in Kuala Lumpur now covers 90% of the metropolitan area. The Rapid KL network integrates buses, light rail, monorail, and MRT into a single payment system. A monthly unlimited pass costs RM100, about $21. That gets you anywhere in the city. Compare that to London, where a monthly Zones 1 to 4 travel card costs £222.30, roughly $280, and doesn't even cover the entire metropolitan area. The trains in KL run on time 94% of the time according to 2024 metrics. The London Underground manages 88% on a good quarter. But beyond just transportation, it's the integration. Your Touch and Go card in Malaysia works for tolls, parking, convenience stores, trains, buses, and even some restaurants. It's contactless. It's instant. It works. Contrast that with trying to navigate the patchwork of payment systems across Western cities. Ever tried to figure out which parking app works in which district of San Francisco? Ever dealt with the chaos of different transit cards for different systems in the same city? Malaysia's government efficiency would be called authoritarian in the West, except it's not. It's just competent. Business licenses are approved or denied within statutory timeframes. If they miss the deadline, approval is automatic. No bureaucrat can sit on your application indefinitely. Taxes are filed online. Refunds are processed within 30 days, by law. When was the last time the IRS processed anything in 30 days? The land title system is digitized. Property transfers that take 90 days in the UK take 14 days in Malaysia. And the corruption that supposedly plagues developing nations? Malaysia ranks 57th on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index. That's higher than Italy, which ranks 63rd. It's higher than several EU member states. The narrative that you need to pay bribes to get anything done? Outdated by at least a decade. The digital systems removed the human discretion that enabled corruption. Can't bribe an algorithm. So what do you do with this information? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Real wages in the West haven't grown since 2008. When you account for inflation, the median worker in the United States makes less in real terms than they did in 2007. The United Kingdom? Real wages finally returned to 2008 levels only in 2024. That's 16 years of stagnation. But housing, healthcare, and education? Up 140%, 190%, and 230% respectively. The math doesn't work. It can't work. An entire generation is locked out of asset ownership. Locked out of family formation. Locked out of the wealth accumulation that their parents took for granted. The Great Redistribution isn't a conspiracy. It's a recalibration. It's what happens when developing nations develop infrastructure faster than developed nations can maintain theirs. It's what happens when the cost structures that made Western nations wealthy become the anchors that sink them. Step 1. Audit your purchasing power. Not your salary. Your remaining income after non-negotiables. Housing, healthcare, transportation, food, debt service. If your discretionary income is under 30% of your gross salary, you're in the trap. You're on a treadmill. You're working to maintain a lifestyle, not to build wealth. And the trap only tightens with time. Every year, costs rise faster than wages. Every year, you fall further behind. Step 2. Identify stability indicators. Don't just look at GDP growth. That's a meaningless number for individual prosperity. Look at healthcare accessibility. Can you see a doctor within a week? What does it cost? Look at digital infrastructure. Can you work remotely reliably? Is internet access stable and affordable? Look at property rights. Can foreigners own property? How secure are those rights? What's the legal framework? Look at tax efficiency. Territorial tax systems. Double tax treaties. Are you taxed on worldwide income or just local income? Malaysia scores green on all 4. So does Portugal. So does Thailand. So does Uruguay. The options are multiplying. Step 3. Test before you commit. The digital nomad visa. Malaysia offers it. So does Portugal, Thailand, Croatia, Estonia, Georgia. The list grows every quarter. 3 months. Live like a local. Not a tourist. Don't stay in hotels. Rent an apartment. Use the healthcare system. Schedule a doctor's appointment. Ride the trains during rush hour. Buy groceries. Cook at home. Go to a co-working space. Talk to other remote workers. Ask the questions that matter. What's internet reliability actually like? How's the banking system for foreigners? What are the hidden costs? Is this a place you could see yourself for years, not just months? Then decide. But decide based on data, not marketing. Because the travel blogs and YouTube channels show you the highlights. They don't show you the bureaucracy of extending a visa. They don't show you the frustration of banking restrictions. They don't show you what it's like to be sick and navigate a foreign healthcare system. Test everything. Step 4. Build asymmetric leverage. This is critical. The play isn't move and find a local job. Local salaries in Malaysia, even for skilled work, max out around RM 15,000 to 20,000 per month for senior positions. That's $3,200 to $4,300 US. Comfortable but not wealth building. The play is, earn in strong currency, spend in efficient economy. Remote work for US, UK, or Australian companies. Freelance consulting through platforms like Upwork or TopTal where you're competing globally but getting paid in dollars or pounds. Build digital products. Online courses. SaaS applications. Consulting services. Content creation. Anything where your income isn't tied to your physical location. Your dollars stretch 3 to 4 times further. That's not just savings. That's generational wealth acceleration. That's retiring at 45 instead of 70. That's sending your kids to university without debt. That's buying property as an investment, not as a decades-long aspiration. The geopolitical implications are staggering. When skilled labor can work from anywhere, it flows to where quality of life is optimized. And that's no longer automatically the West. The brain drain that developing nations suffered for 50 years is reversing. Malaysia sees it. So does Vietnam. So does Rwanda. So does Colombia. These nations are building infrastructure at a pace that would have been impossible 20 years ago. They're leapfrogging technologies. They never built extensive copper phone networks, so they went straight to fiber optic. They never built extensive cash-based economies, so they went straight to digital payments. They're not burdened by legacy systems. A 100-year-old subway system is romantic until you need to modernize it. Then it's a fiscal nightmare. Malaysia doesn't have that problem. They built their MRT in the 2020s with 2020s technology. The West is trying to retrofit 1920s technology into 2020s expectations. It's not working. Malaysia didn't ask for permission. They didn't wait for the IMF's approval. They didn't wait for Silicon Valley to notice them. They built fiber optic networks to kampungs. Launched digital IDs while the West argued about privacy. Streamlined business registration to 24 hours. While the West optimized for regulation, Malaysia optimized for reality. And now, the world's watching. Thailand announces digital nomad visa overhaul 2024. Vietnam fast-tracks startup visa program 2024. Portugal extends golden visa alternatives 2024. Indonesia launches its own digital nomad initiative. The pattern is clear. Nations that make it easy for skilled remote workers to relocate will capture an unprecedented wealth transfer. Because the workers bring their income, spend it locally, often start businesses, and don't burden the social services. It's pure economic upside. The great redistribution isn't coming. It's here. The only question is, will you see it before it's too late? Before your peers have bought property, built networks, and established themselves in these emerging hubs? Before visa programs tighten as demand increases? Before the cost of living in these places rises due to the influx? Because that's coming too. Kuala Lumpur in 2030 won't have the same cost structure as Kuala Lumpur in 2024. The window is open now. This is the truth they won't show you on the evening news. But we will. Every week. We're tracking the nations that are winning the 21st century competition for talent. We're documenting the infrastructure builds. We're interviewing the people who made the move. Subscribe. Share this with one person who needs to hear it. Because the future? It's already being built. Just not where you think.